Hi everyone, we're live at 99 Church Street here at the HB Real Estate Home Office. Our theme tonight is peaches. As you can see, all this delicious food here. And we are keeping it real tonight on the porch with Ray HB. So 3, 2, 1, action!
Thanks, Liz. That was fabulous. Hi everybody. Welcome to the porch. This is episode 4. And tonight we're speaking with the home inspector of our whole segment on what the buyers should know. And we're going to be speaking with the esteemed Sean Ryan, home inspector. Where's the studio audience? Again, you guys, one job. This is the esteemed Sean Ryan, home inspector.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
I love it. But before we get launched right into Sean and the home inspector, we have some thank yous to do. Our Generation Z, actually one of them is in Portugal. Hi Shannon, I hope you're watching. Recently engaged Shannon, our Gen Z agent. Congratulations yet again. And our other Gen Z is working. So that's all legitimate. We have the illustrious Liz behind. Are you Facebook or Instagram?
I'm on Facebook.
You're on Facebook, so everybody say hi to Liz.
Hi.
Thanks for pitch hitting, Liz. And we all have the amazing Jeff Hess Brooks streaming for Instagram.
Hey,
My
Jeff.
husband, you all know that he can do basically anything. And so when you say amazing, Jeff Hess Brooks, you have to snap your head like Oprah.
Okay.
So
Amazing.
amazing. Everybody, amazing.
Amazing.
Denise, amazing.
Amazing.
Okay, Sean. Amazing.
Amazing.
That was underwhelming.
That was underwhelming. And then, look, we have goodies already.
Oh, there's
We have
LM's peach cobbler.
Oh, from LM. Thank you, LM.
I'll make a mess.
Every time I do this, you guys, I drop it and I get
Dripping down
feedback.
the
And I get feedback that, Ray, that was hilarious when you dropped your margarita. So this is a prop tonight. We're not going to use that right now.
Thank you.
Hope Sean's not allergic.
Sean, are you allergic
No.
to anything?
I hope not.
Sean Ryan?
We'll find out.
No, I'm
Is
not.
anybody here certified?
No, I'm good.
So let's get right into this. The home inspector. Tell us about yourself, Sean Ryan.
Well, my name is Sean Ryan, and I've been a home inspector for about 20 years. And it's a family-owned business. My father started about 30 years ago, and we worked together for many years, and I learned from him.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm licensed in Connecticut and Mass, and I just try to do the best job I can for all the people that I work for, and try to do a thorough job and effective and efficient, and try to keep things professional with the realtors along with the buyers, but also a laid-back approach in terms of people feeling comfortable doing the inspection. I don't want to scare people in. Like, buying a house should be fun. Yes, it's nerve-wracking, but I try to make it so the people aren't so scared that they're getting into the house, unless it obviously is a bad house. But
we've kind of been
yes,
there.
yes. But no, I love what I do, and I'm very, very lucky to have the job that I have and learn from my father. And
So I didn't realize that you learned this from your dad.
Yeah,
So you've been doing this how many years?
for almost 19 years.
You've been doing it for 19
yeah,
years.
19 years.
And you're kind of a newlywed. You haven't been married that long.
It's going to be 3 years.
3
pretty
years.
soon.
And you have
December.
baby Jack.
My father's name was Jack, but
Yeah.
the baby's name is middle name is Jack.
What's
his name is Maverick.
Maverick. I know that's your pride and joy.
Honestly, we're so thrilled. He's the joy of our lives.
I remember the first time you told me that you got, and your eyes lit up in it. It's like, I'm like, Sean Ryan's going to be a good dad.
It's exciting to go home and just pick him up every morning or every day and just say goodnight to him.
How old is he?
He's 11 months.
11 months. Is he walking?
He's cruising.
Yeah.
He's actually moving fast. It's kind of hard to keep up. We had to baby-proof everything sooner than expected.
Oh,
so,
good.
But no, we love it. We're
So
very
he's
happy.
a precocious 11-month-old.
Yeah, the doctor says he's advanced. So watch out.
So why do buyers need a home inspector? What is it that you're doing?
Well, obviously, me being the home inspector, I think it's one of the most important part, of the process when you're buying a house. simply because you want to know what you're getting into. You know, you might, when you first view a house with a realtor, most of the time, like, they're looking at, like, the fun stuff, like, you know, where do I put my furniture and TV, and, you know, they don't always look at the structure, or maybe they don't know what they're looking at, or the roof, how long is it going to last, or is the heating system a good heating system, and how long is that going to last? So, obviously, being a home inspector, I just think, you know, it's well worth the money. You know, whatever you're going to pay, and it's worth the money simply because you need to know what you're getting into.
It's really your job, which I don't think people realize. It's really your job to tear the house apart. Like, this is what it is.
Yeah, I don't like to. That's true. I don't like to say that because I don't like to tear. I look at it realistically. My main focus is the most expensive things with the house. Every house is going to have problems. Number one, like I said, the roof, the heat, the plumbing, electrical, the structural soundness of the house. You know, the siding, the windows, just safety items. Those are the things that I care about the most. Every house is going to have some blemishes, and there's always a list with every house. So I try to keep it realistic for people. And I always tell people the good stuff and the bad stuff. Some inspectors might just simply, like you said, tear it apart. I like to say, like, hey, this is a really good house, and, you know, there's this and this wrong, but overall, this is a really good home. So
I remember. I remember the first time I met you. It was years ago now, but I had the buyer, and Angela Costello had the listing. Hi, Angela Costello. ... Love. As soon as I met Sean Ryan, I'm like, he's fantastic. Nobody was alarmed. Everybody was happy. So yeah, that's huge with home inspectors as far as the realtors are concerned. Is that we're going to present the facts, but we're not going to alarm anybody.
Agreed.
Except for maybe the father that bought a house 40 years ago that we all know about.
That's always the hardest challenge of my job. Is like they think I'm not working for them, but that's like an old myth from real estate back in the day, where, you know, I'm there for them, but I also I'm honest with everybody, and I think they see that towards the end, like at least as we go through the inspection, they can tell that I'm just being real and honest, and I am looking out for their best interests, and I just give it to them straight, and I think people respect that.
They do.
And a good thing.
And I think that like is another reason why we asked you to be here, because it complements who HB is as a culture, right? Have we not talked about this? All the time that we talk about is who we are as a brokerage. Sean Ryan, you meld really well. Thanks. Don't be scared other companies to call Sean Ryan. It's going to be fine.
Thanks.
So August is peaches are ripe. Did you know that?
I found out today.
And so Joy Buchanan and I talk about it. I'm like, what's the theme for next month? And I'm like, oh, Jeff and I have a peach tree. We can totally do peaches. Sean Ryan, I've had this peach tree for 5 years.
Has it yielded any fruit?
Well, let me tell you. It was 5 years.
Okay.
First few years, it was the squirrels. The squirrels, you all have heard about the fucking squirrels. Squirrels are basically gone because we had them trapped. This year, so far in 5 years, we've had one peach cobbler, okay? We would never survive off the grid at 384 Springfield Street. So this year, it was loaded. I said to Jeff, I'm like, why are our peaches gray? Gray fungus. Who knew? Gray fungus. Who knew that you had to rake up all the fruit that fell off from the year prior, prune the tree? You can't have any of this stuff on your tree. So I have a beautiful looking peach tree right now bearing no peaches, Joy Pagat. So Dee, where did we get these peaches?
Big Y.
I'm pretty sure Lorraine went to Atkins.
Oh, good. Good job, Alan. Go into Atkins. Okay, so back to the home inspection. I think you guys needed to know about that peach tree episode. Can every home inspector do all the inspections? Can you guys do all the things?
I think that depends on the individual themselves, because, you know, you have the home inspector license, which is, you know, structure, mechanical, home inspections. you know, some people do the termite inspections, which I do. I would say most people do radon testing, but then once you get into the extra stuff like mold, asbestos, things like that, I visually check for that. If I see it, I've been doing it for so long that I can tell them, hey, this looks like it probably is asbestos. But technically, you are supposed to have a license to be testing for mold, and you know there are additional things. So I'm sure certain companies probably add on to their certification to, you know, to be more well-rounded if some people want mold, or, you know, I'm sure there's definitely a list of things that, you know, people could do. But I think in general, most home inspectors are just home inspectors. To my knowledge.
A lot of them do the termite, and a lot of them do the radon.
Yeah, that's the most general, like, common thing that everybody typically does. Or a lot of people bring their own termite guy with them. That's another common thing that occurs. But technically, there's other things that you would need to be licensed for to do additional.
Right, you are not licensed to tell somebody that their foundation is going to crumble.
That is a whole different. That's a new trend, and that is an important license. I have.
Do you need
So
one?
no, I have. I'm good, thank you. I have. You know, I've seen the crumbling foundation. I don't pretend to be an expert. We actually did see that one house together that was really bad. So I would bring it to someone's attention, but for me to make it an official call, I would never do that. I never want to overstep my boundaries. I like to stay in my lane. But
KK, he stays in his lane.
yeah. So, you know, I mean, that's a very important license. And me personally, I know that they've had classes for home inspectors to do that, and that's fine. But I just think it needs to be somebody who's a specialist. Just my personal opinion, because that's a major issue, and you don't want to be wrong on that.
$250,000
Right.
wrong.
So I think I have a couple people that I refer that are they're engineers or they're builders, and they have a specific license for that. So I kind of just stay clear of that, simply because I think it deserves to have somebody who specializes in it.
Yeah.
That's just my opinion.
So you're licensed in Massachusetts and Connecticut.
I am.
Why would that be beneficial to a buyer?
Well, we're so close, you know, we border each other, and you know, some people shop around, and you might be looking at towns that are, you know, across the border one way or the other. I'm from Enfield, so, you know, I'm on the border of Mass, and, you know, I have a lot of friends and realtors, you know, that have used me, and they've gotten licensed. So years ago, I just got licensed in Mass as well. I mean, my main business is in Connecticut, but I got to be honest, Mass has kind of grown into like it's almost equal parts for me, Mass and Connecticut, and I think it's a no-brainer for me. I mean, you know, let's say you do an inspection for somebody in Connecticut, but you know, they back out of the house and they want to buy something in Springfield or something. What? Then I can't do it for them.
Right.
But they would want me because they felt comfortable the first time doing the inspection.
And there's trends also I noticed being licensed in both states where if you have an agent that's licensed in both states, and you have an inspector that's licensed in both states, and you have an attorney that can practice in both states, where things are called out in Connecticut that have not yet made it to Mass, i.e. the concrete,
Yep.
or things that are called out in Massachusetts that Connecticut does. It's not the same games.
Right.
And when you have all the players, the realtor, the home inspectors, speaking the same language, you have almost another extra, because you know that that's good here, but it's not good there. But I mean, it's just a more
it is
rounded.
I will agree. It's interesting doing inspection in both states. I've seen the different process of each one, and there's pros and cons to each, naturally. But I think it's good to have those licenses, and it's kind of a no-brainer because it's reciprocity with Mass and Connecticut anyway. So all I had to do was fill out paperwork, and it wasn't like I had to go through all the certifying again. So to me, it was a no-brainer. You know.
You said something earlier when we were talking about ethics. I didn't know that home inspectors had to take ethics.
It's required.
Oh no.
It's required every cycle of you know, renewing your license. You have to take at least 1 hour of ethics class. So they teach you how to
Every year,
Every 2 years.
you
is
have
the
1
cycle.
hour.
1 hour.
We have 4
You
hours.
told me.
Every 2 years.
Told me.
4 hours.
That's a long. It is a long hour.
To
I
be
will say that.
ethical.
But I can see why. It's obviously it's you want to make sure everyone's looking out for the interests of their clients, which obviously we do. But yeah, I mean, 1 hour is
Enough.
yeah.
We got
A
it.
lot of it's self-explanatory.
Questions from the D. Do you have it? D.
Yes,
D.
yeah.
Agent D. D. Before you ask your question,
Yes.
why don't you tell Instagram and the Facebook how many years have you been practicing real estate?
Since 1981.
1981.
Wow.
Liz, how old were you in 1981?
I was 2.
Yeah.
I love that.
I was born in '81.
Oh my God.
Thanks, Sean.
Look at our slobber. Let's eat this while D asks her question.
Yeah. Do you have to take continuing education like the realtors do?
I do.
You do.
Yeah, it's Connecticut. It's actually 20 hours, and Mass is 12.
Okay.
Mass makes you go to actual physical classroom,
Really?
but during COVID, that's been altered. There's been Zoom meetings, but Connecticut can be done online or in the classroom. So I do both.
Good question, D. Anybody else from the audience? Questions, comments, concerns for Sean Ryan, home inspector?
Sean Metro, what is the number one thing that you see on a home inspection? The number one electrical, plumbing?
Number one issue.
Yes.
The most common
Most
is that
common.
the most
Yeah.
common. I would have to say the bathroom exhaust fans venting into the attic.
Causing mold. Yeah.
All houses. That was allowed back then. Unless it's a newer house, I want to say the majority of the houses I inspect, it's venting into the attic. So that's probably the number one most common
At least
thing.
that's an inexpensive fix.
Yeah, it's. I mean, it's important, but not a big cost to fix. So at least when I say it, it's not a big deal.
How often have you run into vermiculite?
That's pretty common. I mean,
It is common.
depends on the house. A lot of houses from the 40s and 50s, maybe 60s. I see it, and that's always a complicated thing because most of the time it's probably not asbestos, but you still have to assume or let the people know that it's possibly asbestos. But that's just kind of complicated because you can have it tested, but it's only that sample of the vermiculite. It could be on the other side of the attic. It could be asbestos. So that's always a tough issue to bring up, and I certainly tell people it really comes down to a personal decision on that, how they feel about it. Some people are more sensitive than others. I'll leave
3
it
or
at
4 years
that.
ago, I remember it was all about the vermiculite. I think Liz Herbie complaining about this. I'm like, I cannot handle another house in vermiculite anymore because I didn't realize that it did come in bags back in the day.
Yeah.
And like what Sean was saying, you can have half of the attic from one bag and the other half, and just because you do a test doesn't mean that the whole thing is legit. And then, I was thinking about that. I actually spoke with a vermiculite inspector, and he told me out of all the hundreds and blah, blah, blah of testing that he'd done in this area for vermiculite, he saw, you can count on one hand, that came back with asbestos, which that was interesting to know also.
Right.
And then I was also thinking about the concrete fiasco that we're having.
Yep.
Isn't that the same as the vermiculite? If you took a core sample from this wall and it was fine,
Right.
but this wall over here could have come from a different quarry. Confirm or deny?
I don't know if it would be from a different quarry, but you're right in saying that you take that sample, it's testing that part of the wall. It's not testing the whole thing.
Mm-hmm.
So in my experience, if you hire somebody who's good, they can visually look at it
Mm-hmm.
and give you an answer to make you educated enough to move forward or not.
Mm-hmm.
And you met that guy, Mike.
He was amazing.
He's probably the best
Yeah.
guy
Mhm.
to have. It takes him a half hour to look at the inside and out, and he'll tell you what level, if it's 1, 2, or 3.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, it's made our job.
complicated.
It's made our job harder.
But all we can do, like you, as the agents, is disclose, and educate them as much as we
Right.
possibly can.
Yeah, it's a bummer that had to happen.
Well,
But but it's important for people to know, and that's why I think all realtors, inspectors, like, you just kind of have that statement saying you need to be aware that there's bad concrete in the area between 1982 and 2017.
Yeah.
So you got to watch out.
And so I think a lot of things that come out of the inspections that when I'm with you, I hear all the time, well, how much is that going to cost to fix? How much is that going to cost to fix? And I know that you're not really, why do you not elaborate on that?
First and foremost, we're home inspectors, and I'm not a licensed roofer, I'm not a licensed electrician, and I don't do that work. I view that as a conflict of interest. If I was to be a roofer on top of a home inspector, I could call out a lot more roofs and say it's X amount to fix it. I'll come back in a month and fix your roof. So I don't know the prices of these things. I certainly try to be helpful. I can ballpark things for people. So it's based on my experience where I would say, yeah, it usually costs around this much. But I don't do that work. So for me to put a price on fixing a broken heating system or a roof, I just give people a general idea, but then I also say, listen, you need to call that specific person to get an actual quote in case you're negotiating that after the home inspection, if like the heating system is at the end of its life.
And your realtors know too. The realtors that are in this all the time, those of us that are doing it in and out all day long, we know pretty much a rough ballpark of what something's going to cost. I just had a client, and we knew we were going to need a new roof. We knew it, and when I told her, and she and I stood there, and I go, "There's no way that's going to be more than 20 grand. There's no way." Her first, and I said, "In roofers, you want 5 quotes." Her first quote came in at $35,000.
Wow, that's
and I'm like, no, next,
That's
no
an
way.
expensive roof.
And
Yeah.
it was. I knew it was ridiculous.
Yeah,
I'm like,
yeah.
no, do something else. So then the next one came in, $16,600. I go, that's the one under 20. Totally makes sense.
Yeah.
35, and that's what you use your realtors as a resource. That's what we're here for. We know everybody. We talk to people all day. That's what we do, you guys. We're at Big Y talking to people, trying to find somebody that's, I don't know, going to paint your house. So use your realtors as the references. That's what we're here. We're your resource, number one resource.
The other thing to add to that, it's also been kind of hard lately during this whole pandemic. Everything is more expensive.
Yes.
So people are like, normally a heating system would be like $5,000 to $6,000. Now it's like $6,000 to $8,000, maybe even more sometimes. So the pricing has gone way out of whack for everything across the board. So
And those also, proves my point stronger, is those realtors that are in the trenches all day long, we know that. This should cost this, but we're in COVID, so let me know what you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because we see this all day long.
of course,
Yeah.
definitely.
Thank you so much, Sean Ryan, Home Inspector.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you, everybody, for joining us here on the porch. If you're looking, remember to buy or sell real estate, visit us at hbrealestate.net. Click on any of those lovely faces that you see. And this actually concludes what the buyer needs to know. Next month, we're going deep D. We're actually going to be we're going political. We're interviewing 2 candidates that are running for city council in Chicopee. So stay tuned for September. I don't know what the theme is. Joanne, I'll figure it out. But au revoir. Good night, Babe. Mon oncle loves. Bye. Thank you.